Hello, this is solving quadratic equations number 8. We will be on page 149 of your workbook to take some notes. Okay, so let's talk about this. This first one, I want us to get x by myself. So first thing we have to do is we have to realize, okay, if that dotted line represents the equal sign, I'm going to add 12 to both sides because I want to try and get x all by itself. Those cancel, so I get 2x is equal to 26 because 14 plus 12 is 26. And then 2 and x are being held together by multiplication, so I divide each side by 2. And I find that I have an answer of x equals 13. Well, it gets a little different when you have the quadratic. We have to remember how to solve these. So remember, we could go about and we could say, okay, I'm going to multiply 20 times the 1, so I get a negative 20. And then I know I have to have a positive and a negative value because I have a negative 1 right in between. Then I have to think about the factors of 20. So I have 1 and 20, 2 and 10, and 4 and 5. And so 4 and 5 would work to add up to the negative 1. So I'd have a positive 4x and a negative 5x. And there, I'm going to replace those for right there. So that's going to give me x squared plus 4x minus 5x minus 20. It's still equal to 0. We're just going to start factoring this down. So I look at my first two terms. I can factor an x out of both. Let me erase that real quick. And if I factor an x out of both of those, I'm left with x plus 4. Middle sign comes straight down. Factor a negative 5 out. If I factor a negative 5 out, remember that changes. You can always double check. So x times x is x squared. X times 4 is 4x. Negative 5 times x is negative 5x. Negative 5 times 4 is negative 20. And so it comes down to this is my factored form. And when I get this, I go x plus 4 equals 0 and x minus 5 equals 0. So you do the opposite to this first one, subtract 4 from both sides. So I get an answer of negative 4. Add 5 to both sides because it's subtract 5. So I get my two answers of being x equals 5 and x equals negative 4. So I have two answers because it was squared. Okay, hope that you remember that a little bit. So go ahead and flip the page over and let's take a look at the next one. All right, so the first one, how am I going to solve this? Well, these are the like terms, so I'm going to go 8x plus 2x, and that's going to give me 10x. And then minus 12 is equal to 8. I can go ahead and start solving this. I can add 12 to both sides. Those are going to cancel, so I get 10x is equal to 20. Divide each side by 10, so x is equal to 2. There's my answer. But look at number 3. It's a little bit different. It's raised to the third power. So remember, we have a greatest common factor here. Each one of these has an x. So I'm going to factor an x out first. That's going to give me x squared minus 8x plus 12 is equal to 0. So remember, when you have this x out front, this takes care of one of the answers. I'm going to have three answers. So this one has three answers so far. I have one of them I know. Then I have to factor this. So I'll put a 1 out front. 1 times 12 is positive 12. Because I have a negative there, both sides have to be negative. And so the factors of 12 that would multiply to give me 12 and add to give me negative 8 would be negative 2 and negative 6. So I'm going to replace 8x with negative 2x minus 6x plus 12. I have an x in common here. That gives me x minus 2. The subtraction sign comes down. I can factor a negative 6 out. And remember, the sign's going to change. So that's going to give me x minus 6 and x minus 2 for my answers. Set each of those equal to 0 and solve it. So this one, I will add 6. So I also get an answer of 6, and I will add 2. Get an answer of 2. So my answers are 0, 6, and 2. There's three answers to it. Then we move down to problem number 3. Okay, let's see if we can solve this. Well, I don't really know what to factor. And a lot of times the go-to on this might be say something like, well, what happens if I were to add 36 to both sides? Those would cancel out, and that leaves me 9x squared is equal to 36. I'm then going to divide both sides by 9. So 9 goes into 36 4 times. Now pay attention what we're going to do here. There's a new idea that's going to happen right now. I'm going to take the square root of both sides. When I take the square root to get x alone, you're going to have a plus and a minus you're going to put. And then the square root of 4 is 2. So the two answers, because it's raised to the second power, I get an answer of 2 and I get an answer of negative 2. Okay? So this plus or minus is a new idea, and it only happens when you take the square root of both sides to get the letter alone. Okay? This problem might be a little bit different because I have kind of a bunch of x values. So there might be another way to think about this problem. We could maybe think, could I factor a 3 and an x out of both of those? And in this case, yes. Yes, you can. Okay, so we can take a look at it and say, okay, that's going to give me x minus 3. So then I get 3x equals 0, x equals 0 because if I divide both sides, and x minus 3 equals 0. So x equals positive 3. And there's my two answers. And let's just verify what we had done. Yeah, so this should have been some review. So this method here is a little bit different idea than what you've been used to. Other ways you could have solved that is as difference of two squares, but I think we're okay for right now. So I'd like you to do page 151 and 152, and I'd like you to do all the problems, all of them. Okay? Give a good attempt, see how you do. Remember, if you owe me a quiz that if you were absent on Tuesday or you didn't finish it, make sure you come in and see me during one of your off periods by Friday this week. So you can come in, today, which will be Wednesday, or tomorrow, Thursday, or you can come in on Friday on one of your off periods to get it finished up. I hope you have a nice day.